Welcome to another My Mind MashUps deep dive, where we unravel mysteries, spark curiosity, and make sense of complex ideas together. What if the real battle between good and evil isn't out there in the world but inside each of us? Today we're diving into Carl Jung's profound concept of the shadow self. Those hidden, repressed parts of who we are. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore why we often struggle between darkness and light, and how understanding our inner shadow can actually lead to a more authentic and compassionate life. Oh, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy content that makes you think. Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is this shadow Jung talked about? It sounds a bit spooky, maybe a bit dramatic even.
It can sound that way, yeah. And it certainly has dramatic implications for our lives, but it's fundamentally about self-knowledge.
Yeah.
Jung defined the shadow as, well, the unconscious parts of our psyche that we reject or disown. Think of it as everything we don't want to be traits and impulses we see as undesirable, like selfishness, aggression, maybe taboo desires.
Right, the stuff we don't like.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. What's truly compelling here is that the shadow isn't only negative. Jung also noted it contains a number of good qualities. Things like normal instincts, appropriate reactions, realistic insights, creative impulses. You get the idea.
Huh. Good qualities. How can good qualities be in the shadow?
Well, they're simply positive potentials that don't fit our chosen persona, The mask we wear for the world. Maybe assertiveness doesn't fit your nice person image, so you push it down. That becomes shadow too.
That's a powerful idea, that even positive traits can be part of the shadow if they don't fit our persona. But if it's unconscious, how do we even begin to identify what might be lurking in our own shadow? Are there, early warning signs, or do we only see it when it slips out?
That's a crucial question. Often we first encounter our shadow when it does slip out, or maybe more commonly, through projection. The psychological mechanisms Jung identified are key here. Firstly, there's repression. As children, we learn that certain feelings or behaviors are unacceptable, right? So we push them into the unconscious to maintain an acceptable identity.
Keep up appearances.
Pretty much. But what is banished doesn't just vanish. It lives on, sometimes sort of stewing in our shadow. Then, these denied traits are often projected onto others. Jung said we see in another something we do not like. Then, with luck, it may dawn on us that what we dislike in others is actually something in ourselves.
Oof. So we attribute our own disowned qualities to them.
Kind of like smearing them onto others, yeah. And this can fuel prejudice, conflict, both personally and within groups.
It's a challenging idea, though, to fully accept that what I dislike in others might be a mirror of myself. Does that mean we should never criticize anyone? Or that all criticism is purely projection?
Oh, no, not at all. It doesn't mean we can't observe genuine flaws or problematic behavior in others. What it does mean is that when a particular trait in another person consistently triggers an intense, really disproportionate emotional reaction in us, deep disgust, burning envy, or irrational anger, that's a strong indicator.
Red flag.
Exactly. A flag that we might be dealing with a projected aspect of our own shadow. It's an invitation to pause and ask, where might I be resisting or denying this very quality within myself?
This leads us to a fascinating paradox that Jung highlighted. He said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That sounds counterintuitive. It suggests denying the shadow actually makes it stronger and can lead it to take over in unhealthy ways.
Absolutely. And the concept of the golden shadow really drives this home. Jungian therapists often say something like 99% of the shadow is pure gold.
Wow. Pure gold.
Meaning that often the very traits we've disowned may be a fierce ambition we thought was bad, or a healthy assertiveness, a deep capacity for anger that could actually fuel positive change, or even rebellious creativity they aren't inherently bad at all. When consciously acknowledged and integrated, they become immense sources of energy, drive, authenticity. It's like reclaiming lost parts of our vitality.
Instead of them bubbling up weirdly.
Right. Otherwise, they manifest as disruptive, unconscious forces, leading to an incomplete sense of self. The ultimate goal, as Jung saw, is individuation, acknowledging and assimilating the entire shadow for psychological wholeness, real authenticity.
And it seems like this isn't just an academic concept anymore. I've noticed a lot of talk about shadow work, online journaling, dream interpretation. It's gone pretty viral, actually, though, often with the warning that it can be challenging.
It has gone viral, and for good reason, I think. Shadow work, in its modern context, is basically the process of exploring one's shadow to foster healing and growth. Techniques like journaling about resentments, or interpreting dreams where the shadow often appears symbolically.
Like monsters or scary thieves in dreams.
Sometimes, or even therapeutic role play. These are used. While clinicians definitely warn that it can be intensely challenging, especially for those with trauma, it's fundamentally about gaining conscious awareness. As Jung put it, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. By accepting those disowned parts, people often report becoming more authentic, more compassionate, more creative. It helps us feel more whole.
Okay, so this struggle isn't just a modern psychological concept, right? If we connect this to the bigger picture, humanity has been wrestling with darkness and light for millennia, externalizing it in powerful myths and religions.
That's profoundly true. These ancient narratives provide vivid archetypes that definitely predate modern psychology. One of the oldest, most striking examples is Zoroastrianism from ancient Persia. It's built on a really radical dualism between Ahura Mazda, the wise lord representing light, order, good, and Angra Mainyu, the evil spirit, darkness, chaos, evil.
So like two equal powers.
Pretty much independent and co-eternal, locked in this cosmic war. And humanity plays a crucial role by siding with good. The idea is that truth, Asha, is opposed by deceit, Grudge. This stark dualism, this clear-cut cosmic battle, it profoundly influenced many later Western religions.
And in Christianity, it's a bit different, isn't it? It's not truly dualistic in the same way because God is omnipotent.
Right.
But it personifies evil as Satan, a fallen angel. It's more about temptation, sin, redemption. St. Paul even described that inner struggle, didn't he? Saying, I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing.
Exactly, that passage, Romans 7:19, it captures it perfectly.
And the imagery of light versus darkness is everywhere in Christianity. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. So here, evil is seen as a corruption of good, maybe, not co-eternal with God.
Precisely. It's a battle within creation, and often, critically, within the individual human heart. Then, if we shift to Eastern traditions, we often see a different perspective, more focus on balance, maybe an inner duality.
Like yin and yang.
Exactly. Taoism, with its famous yin-yang symbol, it represents dark and light, not as moral opposites fighting, but as complementary forces. Both are necessary, neither is inherently good nor evil on its own. The goal is harmony. The Tao Te Ching says something like, all can know good as good only because there is evil. Opposites define each other, create each other even.
Interesting. And Buddhism?
Buddhism speaks more of ignorance versus enlightenment. Mara, the tempter figure, is confronted by the Buddha not with violence, but with mindfulness and compassion. It's almost like befriending the shadow. It teaches that good and evil are both organic matters within the psyche, arising from our perceptions and attachments, not fundamental cosmic forces in the same way.
In Hinduism?
In Hinduism, you have the Devas versus the Asuras, symbolizing Dharma versus Adharma, righteousness versus chaos, essentially. But it also acknowledges that individuals have both divine and demonic qualities within them. The task is to cultivate the divine, acknowledging that internal struggle.
What's fascinating here is how different cultures perceive and struggle with this duality, as you said, either a battle to be won, maybe, or a balance to be achieved. It truly shapes how people approach their inner world and what kind of relationship they have with their own dark side. If this is resonating with you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next deep dive. So these ancient themes aren't just an old text, they're very much alive in the stories we tell today, shaping our modern myths and, well, pop culture.
Absolutely. Our modern stories continue to explore the shadow archetype, often in ways directly inspired by those mythic and religious patterns we just talked about. Take Star Wars, it's such a powerful psychological allegory. You have the light side representing calm, virtue, control, and the dark side embodying unchecked passion, fear, power, lust.
Classic good versus evil.
On the surface, yes. But psychologically, the Jedi aim for integration, trying to manage emotions without being ruled by them. The Sith, well, they represent the unintegrated shadow taking over completely. Anakin Skywalker's tragedy is a quintessential shadow story, repressing his fear, his anger, his attachments, that leads him directly to becoming Darth Vader.
And Luke?
Luke Skywalker's journey is about facing that darkness within himself without succumbing. Famously in the Dagobah cave scene, right? Where Vader's mask cracks open to reveal Luke's own face.
Yeah, that was a powerful moment.
And Yoda's warning, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, captures the essence of how unacknowledged negative emotions can consume us. Even modern stories like The Acolyte are starting to explore how maybe the strict Jedi suppression of all emotion could be problematic in itself, suggesting total denial might be just as dangerous as unchecked indulgence.
That fits with Jung, doesn't it?
It does. Jung taught that psychic energies like anger or fear are basically neutral until they're filtered through our consciousness. If handled unconsciously, repressed, or ignored, then they become destructive.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Think about how many heroes have a villain that mirrors their own potential darkness. It's amazing how resonant these stories are. It makes me think of other heroes and villains who seem almost two sides of the same coin. What are some of your favorite examples of that archetype playing out?
Oh, it's everywhere because it resonates so deeply with our own inner struggles. Batman and the Joker are a prime example. The Joker functions as Batman's shadow archetype, pure chaos, challenging Batman's rigid, almost obsessive self-control.
You complete me.
Exactly. That famous line implies they are two halves of a whole, showing that even the super good hero has a shadow. And Harvey Dent's transformation into Two-Face shows the tragedy of failing to integrate his idealism just crumbles into vengeful rage when faced with trauma.
And Marvel.
Oh yeah. In Marvel, Spider-Man's Venom is literally a dark doppelganger born from his own discarded aggression and resentment. Iron Man's Obadiah Stane reflects the dark side of Stark's own ambition and legacy. Black Panther's Killmonger embodies the rage and vengeance that T'Challa himself has to grapple with.
The shadow of Wakanda's isolation, too.
Precisely. Killmonger represents a necessary, if painful, confrontation for T'Challa's growth and Wakanda's. The general takeaway seems to be that heroes learn and grow from encountering their shadow, whereas villains never do.
They remain consumed by it.
And this isn't just in film either. It's all over music, art, and literature. Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that's the classic parable, isn't it? The shadow consuming the self. Indulging the repressed dark side, Hyde ultimately eclipses Jekyll.
A cautionary tale, for sure.
And in music, artists frequently grapple with their inner demons. Think of Imagine Dragons' song, Demons. Or Eminem creating Slim Shady as an alter ego. Right, to express those more violent, outrageous thoughts, which some psychologists actually called a form of healthy shadow expression, a controlled outlet, not acted upon in reality.
Even Beyonce's Sasha Fierce persona.
Yeah, an outlet for a more confident, aggressive side needed for performing. And visual art, think Caravaggio's chiaroscuro. Those dramatic light and dark contrasts, they heighten moral drama, drawing us right into that tension. And this entertainment value is crucial, I think. These stories provide a kind of safe space to do shadow work collectively.
How so?
Well, we can identify with villains sometimes, or maybe vent our own hidden feelings through art or music. It allows society to collectively sort of toy with and digest the concept of the shadow.
So it's why these stories are both entertaining and maybe educational.
Exactly. They externalize our inner conflicts in a form we can observe, learn from, and even experience a cathartic release through. It's almost like a collective form of shadow work, a societal catharsis.
So why is this tension so universal? Why do we have these better angels and inner demons, as Lincoln put it? Is it just ingrained in us?
It really does seem to be rooted deep in our very nature, shaped by millennia of evolutionary pressures. Evolutionary psychology suggests human nature evolved with this kind of dual capacity. On one hand, empathy and cooperation vital for social bonding, group survival. On the other hand, aggression and dominance, which can be crucial for survival or getting resources.
So both helping and hurting are part of the package.
Pretty much. Richard Wrangham calls this the goodness paradox. Humans generally have low reactive aggression. We don't usually just lash out instantly like some primates, but we have surprisingly high proactive aggression planned, calculated violence. Think organized hunting or, sadly, warfare. Over millennia, we apparently self-domesticated, fostering greater sociability. But those antisocial impulses, they never entirely disappeared. So this internal tug of war, Freud called it eros versus thanatos, the life and death drives. It seems profoundly built into us.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, our brains themselves show this struggle, right? It's not just a philosophical concept, there's actual biology here.
Indeed. Neuroscience is revealing these intricate brain systems that underpin this duality. Empathy, for example, involves a network including the ventromedial prefrontal cortex that's often linked to decision-making and emotion regulation, along with the mirror neuron system.
The part that helps us feel what others feel.
Right. And other regions like the anterior cingulate and insula that process others' pain. Cruelty, particularly the cold, unemotional kind seen in psychopathy, is linked to dysfunction in these very circuits. Studies on psychopathy, for instance, show reduced activity and weaker connections between that VMPFC and the amygdala, the emotion center.
Yeah.
It's like these crucial areas are not communicating as they should.
Leading to what?
Well, it can help explain a lack of remorse or fear of consequences, almost like an emotional blindness or what some call alexithymia, a difficulty in identifying and expressing emotions. Interestingly, on the flip side, extraordinary altruists often show a larger amygdala and enhanced empathic responsivity. Abigail Marsh describes this as a caring continuum, with psychopathy at one end and radical altruism at the other.
And most of us are somewhere in the middle.
Exactly, and for most of us, empathy is very context-dependent. Those us versus them narratives we hear, they can actually dampen those empathy circuits pretty effectively.
That's a pretty chilling thought, that our empathy can be sort of turned down by the situation, by how something is framed.
Yeah.
This raises an important question. Beyond our biology, how much do situations influence our capacity for good or evil?
A great deal. And this is where social psychology offers some powerful, though often quite controversial, insights. The Milgram's obedience experiment, for example.
The shock experiment.
That's the one. It found that, famously, 65% of participants delivered what they believe were lethal electric shocks when instructed by an authority figure. It starkly showed how obedience-fueled cruelty can potentially override personal empathy. It suggested that cruelty might be a potential in virtually everyone if the conditions are right. Strong authority, diffusion of responsibility, gradual escalation.
And the Stanford Prison Experiment.
Similarly, the Stanford Prison Experiment showed how ordinary students seem to rapidly adopt sadistic guard roles or submissive prisoner roles. It illustrated how assigned roles and power dynamics can seemingly unleash darkness. Now, it's really important to say both these studies have faced significant criticisms. Major criticisms regarding their ethics, their methodology, even accusations of researcher bias or coaching participants.
Right. Those studies are incredibly sobering. But as you mentioned, they faced significant ethical criticisms, even accusations of fraud in Zimbardo's case. How do we, as informed listeners, reconcile the powerful conclusions often drawn from them with those very real critiques? Does it diminish their take-home message about human nature?
That's a very important point, and it's something psychologists absolutely continue to debate. The criticisms certainly highlight the dangers of some psychological research and the absolute need for rigorous ethical oversight. We learned a lot from the fallout of those studies. However, even acknowledging those serious flaws, the core insight they hinted at remains profoundly unsettling, I think, which is that under certain conditions, extreme pressure, dehumanization of others, powerful authority figures, group dynamics, ordinary people can be induced to act in ways they would normally find abhorrent.
So the context really matters.
Immensely. It's a testament to the powerful influence of external forces on our internal moral compass. It tells us that while our capacity for good or evil might be innate, the expression of it is highly situational. The takeaway isn't that the experiments were perfect models, they clearly weren't, but that they maybe revealed a disturbing truth about human susceptibility to external pressures and social roles.
So it's not just about uncovering what's hidden within us, our personal shadow, but also understanding how our environment, our social structures, even our brain chemistry can either amplify our darker potentials or hopefully foster our better angels. The true insight here seems to be that by understanding these mechanisms, we gain a surprising amount of agency over our responses. Makes us less subject to fate, maybe, and more capable of conscious choice.
Precisely. And that leads us right to the biggest question, doesn't it?
After examining so much darkness, both internal and external, the big question is, how do we consciously integrate our shadow so it doesn't control us, and instead, maybe, use our full self for good?
This is where the power of acknowledgement really comes in. Denying the darkness often undermines true kindness. It can become just a positivity mask that's brittle, easily shattered. Authentic goodness, however, the kind that lasts, tends to be resilient precisely because it's born from conscious choice. It comes from knowing one's own capacity for evil, for anger, for selfishness, and choosing kindness anyway.
Can you give examples of that?
We see this powerfully in figures like Nelson Mandela. He openly confronted his own hatred and anger during his long imprisonment, emerging with this profound commitment to reconciliation, not revenge. He famously said, "If I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison, even outside the cell."
Wow.
Martin Luther King Jr. is another example. He channeled righteous anger at injustice into productive, nonviolent love and action, consciously refusing to let it curdle into hate or despair. Gandhi learned to tame his own, apparently quite fiery temperament, consciously transforming his anger into a power that could, as he put it, move the world.
So they didn't deny the anger, they harnessed it.
They integrated it. Even Malcolm X, who initially had very strong views, moderated them significantly later in life, integrating his righteous anger with a new, broader understanding of shared humanity. Personal integration makes us less judgmental, I think, and paradoxically more empathetically powerful.
Those are incredibly powerful examples of leaders integrating their shadow.
Yeah.
But for someone listening, in their daily life, perhaps without those kinds of profound historical pressures, what does that integration actually feel like? Is it like a sudden aha moment? Or is it a long, messy process?
Oh, it's rarely a single aha moment. That would be nice, maybe. But typically it's a long, often messy, and kind of cyclical process. It's less about eliminating the shadow you can't, really, and more about bringing it into conscious relationship. What does it feel like? It feels like becoming more whole, maybe? Less prone to those knee-jerk reactions or intense emotional triggers, more resilient. You might notice a newfound ability to access creativity or assertiveness that you previously suppressed because you thought it was bad.
So owning all the parts.
Yeah, it's about owning all of who you are, the good, the bad, the sometimes ugly, and then consciously choosing how you want to act from that place of wholeness.
So what does this all mean for our daily lives? How can we actually do this shadow work, practically speaking?
Well, there are practical, accessible ways. Journaling is a big one. It allows you to write out your darkest thoughts, your resentments, your fears, privately. Just giving them voice, even on paper, helps you examine them instead of letting them fester unconsciously.
Getting them out.
Exactly. Dreamwork can be a powerful tool, too. Dreams often present shadow material symbolically, those monsters, maybe, or figures you dislike. Learning to dialogue with dream characters or analyze their themes can reveal hidden aspects of yourself. Mindfulness meditation is also key. It cultivates non-judgmental awareness of all feelings, the pleasant and the unpleasant. This helps reduce reactive aggression, increase empathy, and allows you to simply observe these parts of yourself without being consumed by them.
Just noticing them.
Just noticing. And of course, other therapeutic approaches like role play or creative arts therapy can provide safe outlets to explore these disowned parts. Remember Jung's words again. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It really is about reclaiming your agency.
This isn't just for individuals, though, is it? You mentioned groups earlier. Societies also have shadows, right?
Indeed they do. Societies absolutely repress shameful parts of their history, creating these unacknowledged collective shadows. And these cause ongoing conflict, prejudice, and repeating patterns of harm. Think of America's shadow, its legacy of slavery, systemic racism, the genocide of Native peoples. Efforts to bring these painful truths to light through education, historical reckoning, memorials like the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, that's a form of collective shadow work. Difficult, but necessary.
And the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa.
The South African TRC after apartheid was another powerful, though immensely challenging and complex attempt at collective healing. It provided a public forum for victims and perpetrators to share their stories, aiming for truth as a basis for reconciliation. It faced challenges, of course resistance, questions about moral equivalence, lack of full accountability for some, but the intent was societal shadow work.
In Germany.
Similarly, Germany's Vergangenheitsbewältigung, a mouthful, meaning coming to terms with the past, involved deeply confronting the Holocaust through education, memorials, reparations, all with the aim of ensuring never again. Collective integration, whether through formal apologies, truth commissions, education, memorials, it's painful, but it seems absolutely necessary for greater unity and hopefully preventing history from just repeating itself. It's a societal journey towards wholeness, just like the individual one.
And it seems the power of kindness is often strongest in those who have truly integrated their shadow. You hear about wounded healers.
That's a profound observation, yeah. Many addiction counselors, for instance, are recovered addicts themselves. They face their own demons, their own shadow, and that deep experience allows them to genuinely support others without judgment or naive positivity.
Their kindness isn't fragile.
Exactly. It's grounded, it's resilient, it's born from a deep understanding of suffering and human frailty. Communities that overcome dark periods together often emerge with this profound solidarity, a kindness forged in shared experience in confronting the darkness together. This means kindness, when it's rooted in the truth of our full selves, including the shadow, becomes a truly transformative force, not just a nice idea. So, wrapping up, this struggle between darkness and light, It's a universal, enduring part of being human, but the key takeaway, I think, is that it is not a hopeless war. Both psychology and really ancient cultural wisdom suggest that consciously engaging with our dark side is the crucial step towards tilting the balance toward the light. It's paradoxical, maybe. But by knowing, really knowing and accepting our capacity for what we'd rather deny, we actually strengthen our capacity for conscious good. It leads to what Jung called wholeness, where kindness is rooted in truth and the shadow isn't an enemy to be fought or blindly feared, but actually a potential source of insight, energy, and authenticity. It's about harnessing all of who you are.
The world doesn't just need warriors of light. Maybe it needs shadow walkers who choose compassion anyway. This deep dive has been about sparking curiosity, challenging assumptions, and hopefully expanding your understanding of this profound human duality. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe to hear more My Mind Mashups deep dives. You can find My Mind Mashups everywhere you listen. That's Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Cast, Spotify, and YouTube. And please drop your thoughts in the comments. What resonated? What challenged you? Your perspective could shape our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.